Hey everybody, welcome to Garage Talk, the show where the distancing is always social. I am your host, David, and this is the show where we take a look at independent films and how they're made. We have an amazing project we're talking about today. It's a film called We Need Rent Money. It is written and directed by Blake Laitner.
Thank you for having me, David.
Thank you, sir. The film was the director of photography, and one of the editors was Jeremy Ferguson.
Hey guys.
And one of the cast and editors, as well as a multi-talented individual, Matthew Hewlett.
Hello.
Hello! So here's the thing. Every once in a while, we will get a truly amazing demasking, and that may have been the best one. I was terrified for a moment.
Don't step on my glasses.
Would you like me to retrieve them for you?
If you just kick them back this way, it'll be all
Kick
right.
him. Your host is going to gently, while using his mask for social distancing purposes, bring them back to you.
Oh, that was great. Thank you.
That was pretty
awesome?
epic. That was.
Haven't you guys seen the show?
I did that on one of the episodes. It got caught on my ear, and I popped it off, and it went flying. So, yeah, no, I'm with you. Well, thank you guys all so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. One of the first questions I kind of like to ask as we start talking about the film is, Blake, can you give us kind of a brief synopsis of the movie without any spoilers, and kind of talk a little bit about what inspired the film?
So, We Need Rent Money is about three party animals that are behind on rent, and their landlord has had it up to here with them, and they have 7 days to come up with rent, or their ass is out.
Awesome. And kind of what inspired it? In the opening thing, it says, inspired by real events.
It's inspired by real events. My co-writer, Samson Ray Simon, who's also my lead in the film, who plays Sanders, told me a story about him having trouble paying rent and having a strange character move in, and it becoming more than just rent.
That's awesome. That's cool. So as you guys kind of were talking about this story, right, there's some of it that's based on reality and some of it's that you add in for the storytelling effect. Was it, how many kind of iterations did you go through on the script before you kind of got set on where you wanted it to go?
The script was started at 164 pages. Okay. Unfortunately, there were stuff that we didn't shoot or the way we wanted it to go. Mm-hmm. Actually, we wanted a rapper to show up at the last scene at the bar where Sanders becomes a manager 5 years later. Okay. And unfortunately, we didn't have a musician show up, but Jeremy, who's an talented pianist, we decided, why don't we have Jeremy play on the piano, So
that's awesome.
It's a lot of figuring things out as you go. Yeah.
Well, and so now was Jeremy already brought on as the director of photography at that point when you guys made that decision?
Yes.
Yeah. And so Jeremy,
yes.
You've got this job on the show, right? You're behind the camera, you're doing your thing. And then they're like, oh, by the way, what was that conversation like?
That was, we were sitting there at Old Nick's Pub, and we were kind of we were sitting there waiting for this rapper to show up because he was supposed to show up, and it just kind of never ended up happening. We were sitting there, and it was like, well, we need to get this shot. All these other people are important to another portion of the film. I haven't actually been in the film yet because I've been behind the camera the whole time. And so we just had our friend Devin Robinson. He held the camera on the gimbal while I just played some.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Well, it feels like, in watching the film, it feels like it's pretty, there's a lot of moving parts in it. There's a lot of kind of different stories that are kind of converging and moving in and out of one another. You have a lot of really big characters that have big kind of swings throughout the story. How much of the film kind of was sort of like that, or was most of the film kind of pretty well planned out and kind of on rails where you guys knew exactly where you're going and you went there, or what was that process like?
The process actually started off as, like most indie films, run and gun.
Yeah.
You know, we got the actors together, we get the locations, we might not have a shot list, you know, but we have an idea what we're trying to accomplish. The actors understand what the scene is, and we just went for it. As the production went on, we understood you can't run a production that way, let alone you lose trust in a lot of people. So we decided a different approach, and by the end of the production, we were running like a finely tuned machine.
Cool.
So.
Now, was that, which did you, so in terms of like your own style and the way you like to work, which did you prefer? Was it nice to kind of go onto set and have everything kind of laid out and planned out and you just kind of moved through it? Or was it, I always think it's kind of exciting to kind of show up and go, okay, what are we going to turn this thing into? So what was that for you?
At the Airbnb, I knew if we didn't have a great line producer like Samson Ray Simon, who stepped up to the plate, thank you. He's also a stuntman in our movie.
Yes, he is. I was staying there the first time I watched that scene. I was like, oh my God, Samson!
Yeah, whoever sees this can't say we didn't try. So,
No, it was amazing. It was awesome.
So, yeah, we'll leave it at that. I don't want to give away all the surprises, but he came up with every day on what we were going to shoot and how we were going to go about it, what groups we were going to bring in. And the way we wrote the movie was like Chinese checkers. Everybody is jumping everybody for recognition, for fame, for money, for whatever good time the girls were doing. You know, so. Well,
and kind of interesting, I guess, then I know both Jeremy and Matt, you both edited the film. Matt, in terms of as you're looking at the footage, there's a shift in then how it's being filmed. How did that impact the way you edited the film?
So, Jeremy was DP, and you know, we started with the beginning, of course, but it wasn't filmed exactly in chronological order.
Okay.
But you can kind of see that this was Jeremy's film school. Like, and I'm not saying that in a bad way, but just realistically, yeah, the scenes that were chronologically in the beginning, you know, we see a little less of some things and like wider camera angles and less shots to use. But then as the film progressed, it really improved and turned into a good example of, you know, what film school is. Like Blake, for example, went to film school, and I think you even said that the best film school you can have is actually going to make a film.
The best film school you could have is actually making a film.
Right.
And that's what I found out in film school. Wasn't even a requirement to make a film.
Yeah.
And I couldn't live with myself the rest of my life, so I decided to make The American Dream, which was shot with a $30,000 camera.
Wow.
And then we made The Stairs, which was a very award-winning piece of mine I did for my father as a 10-year-old boy. He's listening on the staircase to my grandfather talk to Holocaust survivors about almost being gassed to death.
Wow.
Yeah, and we did a reenactment with actors up in Portland.
So We Need the Rent Money is it seems like a different type of film than what we're
yes,
talking about here.
It is totally different from usual dramas that I do.
Well, so talk to me about that. Like, how do we go from talking about people almost being gassed to gassing people with "We Need Rent Money"?
I'll be honest with you. It all started because of what Samson and I are capable of doing when we get together as far as writers. And we wrote a screenplay called Space Pimps. And that's about a male feminist pimp that wants to be a hairstylist on his planet, but that's a job for hoes, so he needs a spaceship to get off the planet. And he gets an opportunity when his dad is captured by these women that are half lizard, half women from a planet called Lizlock.
Now hold up, We Need Rent Money is a great film, but where is this film?
Space Pimps? I'll let you read it. And so the woman controlling the planet, her name is Hornstone, and she wants to eliminate pimping.
Sure.
But she's ironically pimping her hoes. So.
Sure.
And we send it to a site called Blacklist, and only advice they gave us was, you guys went all the way on a ludicrous premise, which we definitely did on We Need Rent Money. I'm sure you guys could agree on that.
Yeah.
So, and if you get the right person on board, like Kevin Hart, or, you know, a big name like Snoop Dogg, you know, anything is possible. And
That's awesome.
So we decided, are we just going to write screenplays our whole life? Hopefully one gets picked up. Or are we going to, am I going to be the producer that I am and produce something that I can actually produce?
Very cool.
So.
Very cool. Now, so how did these other two gentlemen that are sitting on either side of you get involved in this project?
I worked with both these gentlemen on a project called Mastifanol, an amazing short film, which we might see in 2023, hopefully.
I hope
Maybe
so.
24.
Or 24, you know.
The trailer is real good.
The trailer is like, I don't know. I don't know if the film's going to be better than the trailer. So.
Right?
But, yeah, I helped Rob with that project. Rob came to me. He saw that I was able to do short films. He told me he wanted to make this short. And after meeting Rob Weaver, I understand that that guy is capable of doing anything.
Yeah,
And,
he is.
I met Matthew and Jeremy. I had another DP on board. Unfortunately, things didn't work out. And then I sent Jeremy a 164-page screenplay and prayed to God that he would willing to take it on. And he did. So.
Yeah, that was an interesting. That was an interesting experience.
Well, so you've done shorts prior to that.
Yeah.
Had you done DP work before?
More or less second camera operator. I've learned a majority of what I know about filmmaking from not only YouTube is probably the big one, but a lot of hands-on experiences been with Matthew over here. He's been teaching me. He's been showing me lots of things. So this was my first project that I took on alone, not with Matt.
Cool. Matt, was that fun to watch then?
We Need Rent Money?
No, I mean watching Jeremy. Of course, We Need Rent Money is fun to watch. Was fun watching Jeremy sort of spread his wings.
So
Monster.
I mean, I don't want to say that like I felt a sense of pride on Jeremy's work, but I totally felt proud of what was accomplished. You know, like I was saying in the beginning, it was a little choppy, but it was good.
Yeah.
And by the end, it was good.
Yeah.
Like, seeing him and his skills increase so significantly over the course of 35 days, like, that was insane. And then, you know, at this point, I trust him wholeheartedly behind the camera. I know if I give him a direction, he's going to get exactly what I need.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, it's, you know, I think we were talking a little bit kind of before we started. There's something fun about just making a project and just kind of saying, let's figure out what this is as we're going along, and making it and then finishing it and not looking at it again, but taking the things you've applied into that next project. And then, you know, you just keep making bigger and bigger things.
It's hard not to look at it again when you make it a feature film. And
That's true.
These guys have looked at it 100 times. So.
Well, so how long has the process been going now? So you guys have got your rough cut done. Yeah. So how long did that process take? And then how long were you filming?
We started back in, what, February?
So yeah, I think we started, we wrapped up filming, we started in November of last year. We wrapped up right just at the end of January, a little bit, there was one day in February. And from about March until right now, we're still editing. We're in the final process,
So rough cut took us 6 months, I think, 7 months.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
The final cut's probably going to match that, if not a little more.
Cool. Well, and so Blake, is that as you're watching it, sort of, how involved have you been, I guess, in the edit process on it? Have you sort of like walked away? Or?
I understand, like, every film book I've read said don't sit over your editor's shoulders.
Yeah.
It's a matter of trust.
Yeah.
You know, I hired them for a reason because I know they're capable of doing it. And I do go over every other Sunday and, you know, check on the progress and give them my notes and stuff. But
was there anything that surprised you as you kind of watched that film? You know, you watched that first kind of rough cut of the film. Was there things that stood out that you hadn't seen or thought of prior to watching it? I guess is that you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
oh, I never thought of this.
Yeah, because you have 3 leads, so you had to decide who are the drivers and who are the back seat.
Yeah.
And then once we decided that, we could decide what we're going to cut and trim the fat, because no one wants to watch a 2-hour, 15-minute comedy. So.
Well, so how much are you wanting to cut it down to? Like, what is your, if you had like do you have an idea of like, I want it to be this long, or is it sort of like?
Hour 50 at the most, maybe.
Yeah.
In that range.
I'm looking at these two to
We're
see like
kind of aiming for like an hour and 45, hopefully. But I think that's a very wishful number.
Yeah.
So when we initially were recording it, something that Blake said to me like all the time was, we are looking for 90. This needs to be cut down into 90 minutes.
Yeah, as we're going through the
goal was
footage.
an hour and a half.
Yeah.
We produced an 2-hour and 15-minute
Yeah.
feature that was like, okay, well, it's time to cut some of that.
Yeah. Well, you know, I've always heard what like you figure like on average a minute.
A page a minute and
Yeah.
a 164-page screenplay, which wasn't even all the pages.
No, it wasn't all. It wasn't all. Of course, I'm glad all those pages weren't filmed. It would have been 3 hours.
Right. Yeah. No,
At least.
that's awesome. So it seems like we have a teaser here today that we're gonna watch, and then maybe afterwards we can talk a little bit about sort of the process of putting that together and kind of, and then we can talk a little bit more
Not
about the movie.
suitable for kids.
Thank you. Not that a ton of children probably watch the in-depth inside production of making independent films, but you never know. Send your kids away if not, or maybe expose them to the teaser, and they'll learn a few things. I promise you.
Man, we are so fucked.
What you want to sling for Wally?
Fred, our weed brownies are gone.
Dude, no.
What about you? How'd your finals go?
Man, we're gonna let White Wally move into Sanders' room.
Sorry, what?
It's all a big conspiracy.
You have dicks on your face.
You have dicks on your face.
Oh, I didn't go. You know I can't go with dicks on my face.
Dude, you know they're not permanent.
Boys, been running a big data scam right underneath your nose.
Levy, the only thing underneath my nose is this Peruvian blow.
Sweet baby Jesus, what do we do?
You're missing the fucking point.
What are we gonna do with all these pills?
Chill, dude. We'll figure it out.
I'm just here to remind you, you got 7 days left before you pay the rent.
Am I gonna be able to have kids?
Cool. All right. So I gotta ask, how did you guys come down to that? Like, what was it that was it bigger and you kind of whittled it down, or as you're editing it, are there scenes you're like, yeah, this has got to go in the teaser? How does that work?
So the way I think that kind of worked is we were wanting to give. It had been a year. It had been like almost exactly a year on the date that we started filming, and we felt like we wanted to show somebody something. We wanted to show the world something that we've been doing. We've been working on keeping it pretty much under wraps and working on it. So it kind of came down to telling a story, but not really telling the story of it.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, when we started cutting it together, it was, we just kind of found bits of audio that made sense. We were going through them like, okay, this line of dialogue kind of matches up with this one. The whole middle section is just, the dicks on the face.
Yeah.
That's a whole sequence. So I'm just like, we want a teaser. We don't want a real trailer. Let's have the whole middle section just a joke. Because that's how the film goes. It's a comedy. It's meant to be laughed at. There's tons of points in the whole film where things are serious, but at the same point, there's jokes around every corner. And we kind of wanted to tease the audience with like how is this film supposed to kind of lay out? Because it starts out kind of serious, mysterious, and then not so serious, and then it gets into the theme song of We Need Rent Money in that last musical bit where it kind of goes over the last shots. And, we wanted to tell the basic story, but not give away anything.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. And Blake, did you kind of, again, what was sort of your involvement in that process? Or did you kind of just step away and let them do it?
I stepped away and let them do it.
Cool.
I know these guys know my story very well after sitting in front of the computer that long seeing it.
Yeah.
So I knew they would cut something great. I didn't think it was going to turn out that great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good things are happening. We'll
That's
just
awesome.
leave it at that. And I just couldn't ask for a better editing team. And they're good pals of mine too at the same time. So.
Well, it's always nice to get to work with people you enjoy being around too.
Of course.
So, this is kind of like, this exists in sort of, I think, an interesting genre, which is this sort of, it feels distant, it feels maybe not, I don't know. I feel like this is kind of like a stoner comedy, right?
Yes, it is basically a stoner comedy, but satire on capitalism.
Right, and I guess that was kind of one of the questions I wanted to ask was, as you're writing this and as you're filming it, and then as they're going through the editing process, do you feel that you're, I don't know, are there comments you're making on sort of capitalism, on drug culture in that piece, but you're using humor to sort of, circumvent the traditional mindset, so it gets people open to hear something, and then you give them a message in there. What was that process like for you, I guess?
Process was, we understood that, each group was doing something to get further in their career.
Yeah.
The kids were trying to pay the rent. Mm-hmm. The girls were using the kids to have a good time. Mm-hmm. The FBI was getting involved with what's going on with what Sanders has going on.
Yeah.
And Dick is just being a dick. So.
That's awesome.
But shout out to Will Brack. I love that guy.
He can rock a police officer mustache like nobody's business. It's eerie how much he can rock that mustache.
Yeah, he did a great job. Actually, I wasn't even there that day that they shot that scene. Unfortunately, being an independent filmmaker, sometimes you got to work 40 hours at Walmart while a feature film is going on, and trust your DP that he's going to get the shots we need.
Well, and that's maybe the next question I kind of want to ask is, so you went to film school, you went to film school on set, you went to film school on set. What advice do you all have for people who are interested in getting into independent filmmaking, either shorts or features, and kind of just, what are your thoughts?
So feature, get ready to open your wallet.
Yeah. Right?
It's if you want to do it right, you have to pay your actors. It's such a big production that you need to pay the people that are doing the talent, not just actors, your crew too. Mm-hmm. So, and my advice is go out and do it. We have phones today now that could even shoot in 4K.
Yeah.
So there's no reason not to do it. Mm-hmm. A lot of people think making a movie is just putting actors in front of locations and reading lines. More to it than that. I've learned that you cannot be enough prepared, but there's always going to be something that comes up that you just have to think on your feet. So.
Yeah.
So it's for me to answer that question. Some advice that I would say something I learned when I was young: practice. Yeah. Just continue to practice the field and do it over and over and over if you have to. Although that takes time, it's about getting what you're trying to get. And if that takes a few times, then that's what you have to do. The other advice I would say would be to avoid that last piece of advice I just said. Bring a second camera.
It would
Always
have been.
more than one
It would have
angle
been
is
nice
great.
if we had a second camera. I tried to
Yeah.
get us a second DP, but nobody wanted. Hewlett said, "Hell no."
I couldn't afford the time. I wanted to, but like he's like, I think we're gonna be filming for a month, and I'm like, okay, so that's 3 months, and I just can't afford to not work that much.
Understand.
Yeah, that was a big thing. The not working for 3 months. We filmed from November to about January. I actually had ended up quitting my job to be able to do this filming because we were filming like every other day.
Yeah.
And it was just conflicting with work schedules, and I just kind of pulled away from that and kind of took this project on full on.
Wow. It's awesome.
I would like to answer because
Yeah, of
I
course.
put some thought into this question recently, as of very recently, yesterday.
Awesome.
So I've been going through this kind of problem in filmmaking where if I overplan or I'm coming up to a stopping point, it just doesn't progress further from there. And I think if anyone wants to start making films or start making short films or start messing with their camera, like if there is something that is stopping you, just don't do that thing.
Yeah.
Go around it. If audio is your thing that you're not good at, make a silent film. If screenwriting isn't your thing, make an improv film. Like, just if you want to be there, pull something together, because what's really going to matter is how much you practice and how often you try and make something, because those moments are what's going to teach you what you need to know.
Cool. That's awesome. And I imagine also then there's a certain point where as you become a master of so many other pieces, then you say, okay, I'm going to tackle this thing. And yeah, but no, I think that's really great advice. It seems like all of you are kind of saying,
Yeah, I
Just do
wouldn't
it.
just do a feature film.
No, but-
I would make a
short.
Make 4 short. Make a music video, you know.
but get out there and make.
But get out there and make something, you know.
That's awesome.
Unless, of course, filmmaking isn't your thing, and then by all means, don't make a film.
Everyone needs to make a movie
Everyone.
right now. Finish this episode and go make a movie, and then contact us, and you can come on our show and talk about that experience.
I was thinking on our film group, Lane County Filmmakers, if people don't start making movies, we should kick them out.
I like you to start getting like serious about this.
Survivor.
Stakes are raised.
Survivor. No. We appreciate the love, everybody that's joined LCF. It's became an amazing community. I think there's even people outside of Lane that are on there, but we love the love, so we'll take
It's
it.
not about Eugene and Lane County. It's about bringing people together, you know?
There you go. So with that, what are the next steps? So talk to us about what's going to happen with We Need Rent Money next.
What's going to happen is the greatest comedy of... No. No.
You had me convinced.
What's going to happen is these guys are going to make even a better trailer than that teaser.
Okay.
And we're going to ramp that up once, we're getting closer to releasing this thing. We're looking to release it next year in April.
Cool.
Where we're going to release it, that is to be announced. We're going to try to turn every stone. We'll start at the top with the top distributors, Hulu and Netflix. And we'll start going down to the point where I will call every drive-in theater in America and try to at least get in one drive-in theater in every state.
I like that. That's cool.
And film festivals, of course, if things get back to normal. But what is normal? So,
Right. And our new normal.
Yeah, our new normal.
Well, thank you guys all so much for coming and chatting with us today about We Need Rent Money. I had a lot of fun. One of the reasons I agreed to do this gig was because I love to watch movies. And it's so cool to get to watch movies before everybody else does. Like, I get to feel like I'm a part of this elite club. So thank you guys so much for letting me watch your films. And thank you so much for coming in and chatting with us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having
Thanks
us.
for having us, man.
Thank you.
No, it's so cool. Thank you guys all so much for joining us today and sticking with us through the end. If you are an independent filmmaker and you're interested in having your show on here, make sure you are commenting down below and letting us know. We'll reach out to you. If you are not subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell so you can get notifications about upcoming films such as We Need Rent Money and future episodes of Garage Talks, and of course, our other Scene in Eugene products. So thank you guys so much and have a great day. Bye.